who I am at work is also who I am outside of work, you know? You can't say that for a lot of places.
Yeah, I totally believe that with you. I've told you that. It's like, I respect you for that, and I think,
thank you.
Like from day one that when we met, it was like, oh, well, here's just a great guy.
Thank you.
And that's that.
I appreciate that.
All right, so this next one that we're going to talk about, the distillery, is very, very difficult to find a brand, even though I know they had to have a brand, and likely they had a brand that existed and still exists today. But so this is Shenley, is the distillery we're talking about, and really the guy I cannot remember his name, apologize, but he went out and took advantage of the fact that Prohibition was happening, and he ended up buying a distillery that had a medicinal license. Then I think it was Shenley Products Company was the name of the organization, and one of the brands that they bought right around the time of Prohibition or after was IW Harper, and you can find out more about IW Harper from our episode with Balto. But I know there was also, I want to say it's Golden Wedding or Golden Marriage, something like that. That was definitely one of their brands that then they started producing it as Canadian whiskey, and now it no longer exists. I think it stopped being produced in the 80s. But IW Harper, we still have that, and it was been brought back and was basically a brand that was not known in the United States. It was really only sold overseas, and then they brought it back and started producing it here, or started selling it here.
Sure.
So
I can't say I've seen the IW Harper brand before. I've never actually tried any of the bourbons.
Oh.
So this would be a new one for me. Oh, that's quite nice. There's quite a lot of sweetness to it. Mm-hmm. Much more comparatively to the Weller and the other two, of course, but...
I'm getting something on the back end that doesn't necessarily... I mean, we just came from Weller, which is...
Yeah.
I'm getting something as an aftertaste that I'm not a huge fan of.
It's this weird baking thing for me. Can't really describe it.
And it's on the smell too, I guess, or on the nose as well. Mouthfeel is good, for sure.
Trying to figure out what that thing is.
Yeah, I don't have a... But it's both on the nose and in the after.
It's kind of like buttery.
Finish.
It's the first thing I'm getting. It's weird. It's a weird description. Like brown butter or something.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm a little stuffed up right now too, so it's like...
But...
It just like reminds me of like a savory butter, which is super odd.
Maybe not brown butter so much as burnt butter.
Burnt butter, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know that like they've definitely sort of leaned into style with IW Harper and that kind of thing. Bottle is
It's
fantastic.
Beautiful. It's a gorgeous bottle. It's a good brand too.
Tennessee. That's weird. Even though it says Kentucky Straight, bottled by. I mean, I guess they could ship it down there.
Sure.
I know Mark from Balto basically said that the story sold him and he went out and bought a bottle.
Really?
Yeah. You used to never see this anywhere.
Yeah, it's not a brand it's never been highly associated with anything.
And the bottle that we had on the show that I had bought that, I bet 6 months before that picture. I'm like, yeah, well, I was making sometimes when sourcing bourbons, you might have to order something that you cannot buy here online. And then I also was looking like, okay, well, what else do they have? A lot of these places have a minimum thing. And so I had to pick this up. But I mean, the story, and like, look, the story is great. It's around sales and that kind of thing. And depending on which legendary story you want to talk about. But I figured we'd eventually talk about sales on the show, so.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Anywhere, anytime, it's always a pleasure. Sounds like Covo's motto.
So speaking of Covo, what have been some of your favorite memories from Covo?
Favorite memories? So I've been here for 2 years. Almost like down to the dot. I started here when we first opened February 1st, 2018, which is really cool. So to get to see the space grow, I mean, like every day there's always cool moments. You meet so many cool people.
Sure.
Some of my favorite moments, I really loved when we were offered tickets by Ballpark Village to go to a Cardinals game and to get so many members to like just, you know, go to a Cardinals game and just hang out, and there's free beer, and you know, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. I couldn't tell you all the details about that because it was like so long ago, but there's something about, you know, getting the community together, doing something outside of the co-working space, which is really nice. And a lot of course, the companies that are based here are based in St. Louis, and they're local people who went to high school here, grew up here and everything, and love the Cardinals. So it's like one thing when you're in a co-working space and have to be somewhat professional, and then when you're at the stadium and it's just full on, you know, like supporting your team. That was a lot of fun. That's one of my most fond memories for sure. We used to, before Bourbon Friday used to be here too, we used to do these like what ended up being called liquid lunch and learn sessions. Where I would bring it was basically Bourbon Friday, but with any spirit, you know. It's like, you know, Tequila Tuesdays or whatever. But it was just like, it was super fun. Like I would bring my rare collection of rums, tequilas, bourbons, whatever it was, and just like, hey, like, you know, if you're interested at all in learning anything about bourbon or rum or like where they're where they come from or their taste profiles, is like come like stop by the kitchenette and like let's just do a little tasting, right? So I did that, and that was really cool. It was super interesting. It was like, from my perspective about it all, is just like I got into alcohol like actually like right when I turned like 21. I was watching Mad Men. Which is like the worst influence ever for like, you know, an impressionable, you know, college student. Got the haircut, wore suits, started drinking scotch. Hated scotch. I was like, old fashions, they're fine. But, you know, there are a lot of people who led me the right way to like, oh, these are good spirits and these are bad spirits and like and whatnot. And like, I thought that was just like a me thing, but it's super intriguing to see like a lot of people are very interested in like to learn about what they're drinking and the history behind things. And with liquor, like there's history, there's science behind it all, there's branding. Like no matter what your company does or what you like to do or what your company focuses on, there's something that always relates back, as you know, to bourbon or to alcohol in general. Yeah, exactly, right? And that's just so interesting to like get the community together and do that. That's always a lot of fun. But like the thing I'm most grateful for, like being around this like entire experience, 2 years here, is the friendships I made for sure. Some of my friends from college have companies that are based out of here, so to get to see them all the time is super great. Working with Alex, Covo's director of co-working, he's one of like my greatest friends. One of my greatest friends, Danny, who used to be the operations coordinator here as well as the events manager here. He moved back to New York, but like I'm forever grateful for that friendship. And honestly, there's so many members here too that are just truly like family to me, you know? The opportunity I got to take over my family's restaurant is something that's been a long time coming. And it's something that I've always looked forward to. But it truly leaves me with like a very heavy heart to like leave this space where it's like every day I come in and it's who I am at work is also who I am outside of work, you know? You can't say that for a lot of places.
Yeah, I totally believe that with you. And you know, I've told you that. It's like, you know, I respect you for that, and I think,
thank you.
Like from day one that when we met, it was like, oh, well, here's just a great guy.
Thank you.
And that's
I
that.
appreciate that. It's one of those. It's a very rare occurrence. So we're like, who you are at work has to be a very professional. There are certain set rules, especially in very corporate settings, right? But here, it's just like, be who you are. Of course, as members know, like I've never had to like reprimand a member or anything. I would just tell them like, hey, like I support you 100%, but these are just the rules. I don't make them. But for the fact that I can say that who I am at work is who I am outside of work, and I don't have to put up a facade or anything.
Right.
That's super rare, and that's something that I wish a lot more companies, or a lot of spaces would do.
Sure.
It's truly wonderful. It's so comfortable coming in.
Yeah,
here,
and when we came over here and we moved the event to Covo, I was like, the only thing I said to you, or one of the few things I said about it was, hey, whatever it is, if it's a problem, if it's whatever, you can just come and talk to me, because
Exactly.
I don't deal in whatever it is.
Transparency is key, right? It's just like, tell me what's the problem, let's fix it.
Let's fix it.
And that's the way I am with like members here too. It's just like, hey, like if you have any issues, just let me know. Don't beat around the bush, because I want to make sure you have a good time. If you wait 1 month to tell me that your office has been cold for a month, I'm so sorry I couldn't help you, but you never told me.
Right,
but I will
that
make
problem
sure.
is just in your mind. It's grown up. Yeah.
Exactly. But if you told me right away, like I'd be more than happy to help. I'll do everything I can. But yeah, I appreciate the community and the culture here for sure. I'm super excited to see where the space is going to be, but I know as long as Alex is here, it's going to be in great hands for sure. So
yeah.
All right. 2 more. This is a good bottle. You're gonna like this. I know you are.
All right. So this is something relatively new. This is Old Forester 1910. With the exception of the birthday bottle, is the only Old Forester that has not been on the show, because it's new. But Old Forester, made by Brown-Forman. Brown-Forman, one of the oldest distilling companies, and we were talking about medicinal bourbon, I believe, with Genoscopy. We did the Prohibition, which is the 1920 edition. I think that was episode 9.
Wow.
Yeah, so this isn't technically an episode, so we crossed 94 at the last episode. So
that's crazy. So close. What are you gonna do for the 100th?
I don't know.
Bottle of birthday bourbon?
I don't know who's sponsoring it.
Find a bottle somewhere, somehow.
I haven't even broken the seal of this thing. So I haven't actually tried this bourbon yet. But I will say, through the show, Old Forester was never even, I think I had a bottle on my bar, but it was never a brand that I had one of the clear, when they still had the clear label on there. It was never a brand that I'm like, oh, okay. But I will say that the other, like the 1920,
Prohibition,
the Prohibition, Bottle and Bond. I can't remember what the 18.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other ones were. But all of the year editions are great. I believe the 100 proof there's nothing wrong with is it 80 or 86 that version, but everything above that is great, and you should try it.
Their single barrels are delicious too. Old Forester has quickly become one of my favorite brands. I have to credit that to Retreat Gastropub in St. Louis, a great restaurant. They used to have Old Forester used to be. It
makes me want to smell the just looking how
dark it is compared to everything else we had. Old Forester used to be their house whiskey and all their cocktails and everything. And they held competitions and everything, and let me try birthday bourbon and whatnot, and been lucky to try it. But their stuff, truly unbelievable.
Yes.
Especially for the price of it all too.
And even we've had Statesman on.
Statesman is also great.
Yeah.
Truly great.
Which it was just here's a movie tie-in that we're going to do.
I know, right?
We can create a bourbon based upon a movie. Next time on Bourbon Friday. But of course, we're talking about Jack Daniels. Regular Jack Daniels, not a fan.